you know what's freaking wild? You have no idea where you're going to be in a year. You can plan it, you can put it on the board, but you can't study your way there. So I want to talk about that today. I want to talk about over-intellectualizing. I want to talk about the truth of this and break it all down. So you're going to want to save this, refer back to it, because it is going to be real, raw, and honest. If you're new to my world, say hi. I see Katie. I see Jeep Girl. I see LA Playboy. I don't know anyone's real name. So if you want it, well, other than Katie, because yours is Katie. But when you're jumping on and I can only see your little handle things, let me know your name and we can become BFFs on the internet. And if you're an old friend, I would hope that you would say hello. My name is Laura Patricia Martin. I'm a trauma and relationship specialist, and all that means is I talk a whole bunch of science with soul, and my biggest mission here is to help you create generational healing. Train and healing, trauma and healing is the vibe here, because I really believe that, there's this huge movement, this huge movement that's going on right now of people, Lindsay, hi, Jeep Girl, taking responsibility and wanting to shift things for their children and their families and their businesses and their clients, and stepping into this thing, and it's beautiful and I fucking love it. But there's this one side of it. There's this one side that we are over-intellectualizing things, which means we're studying a lot of things and we're not embodying it. And this is actually why I created the Arrival, which, y'all, if you're not in Arrival, it is only $22, and it is me mentoring you in your pocket through Telegram for the entire month of April. Like, there are things that we cannot do on Instagram. One, because it's pop psychology and there's a lot of things, and two, it does take a personalization approach. So if you've ever been wanting to know and you've been witnessing the evolution of my brand and my clients, and you've been seeing the testimonials and you've been seeing the things that's happening, and you're like, I don't freaking get it, but I want to get it. Like, not even that I'm trying to heal my relationships. I'm just trying to heal my relationship to myself and show up in my power and find my true authentic voice and expression and step into this leadership and this feminine embodiment. And I haven't quite found my safe corner of the internet that I feel comfortable enough doing it. This is where you want to land. This is exactly why I created this space. And I wanted to give you a taste. I want you to have skin in the game, because if we don't show up for stuff. And it's only $22. And it's me. And if you don't know what Telegram is, it is an audio messaging app. It is wild. So it's not like you have to have a set schedule. It's just, you can do it on your hot girl summer walk, or you can do it while you're in the car. You can do it while you're taking your bubble bath, or whatever you want. Like, you can tap in there. And I'm going to be dropping stuff throughout the month for you to really step into this embodiment work in a way that feels practical and relatable to the modern woman. Because I know when I was going through this, I didn't relate to like the feminine energetics, and I didn't relate to like the mystics and the womb healers and like the energy healers and the light workers and all this kind of language that we hear nowadays. I didn't relate at all. And I know you guys get that, because I talk to so many of you. It's like my yoni and my womb and my what? But I still want to heal my trauma. And so we study it, we become obsessed with it, and we start doing these things, and you're kind of like lurking. And I know y'all lurk. I have back-end tools. I know people lurk. Instead of jumping in because we feel like we don't yet belong. And so I wanted to create something that's easy for you to jump into. So come hang out. It is very casual. It is just like a powwow of legendary women healing their shit and stepping into their embodiment. Hello, Christina. And so what I want to talk about today's Wednesday, which means I come on and I answer questions or I riff on things. And today I want to talk about over-intellect. Hello, Kaylee. I'm just saying hi to everyone that's popping in. Holy pickles. I want to talk about over-intellectualizing and how this is a trauma response. I did this. So I'm going to tell you the story about how I did this. If you were here in my first years of running this business, this is such a weird angle. You guys are like down here and I'm like leaning in, but there was nowhere else to set you up. I dealt with domestic violence, eating disorder, an intense eating disorder, chronic illness, various addictions, drug and alcohol abuse, and a lot loss of my mother, sexual assault. Like, I say these things casually because I've had enough distance between them, but they broke me. They fucking broke me. They broke my self-esteem. They stole my innocence. And I didn't know who I was or what my self-worth was or what type of respect I deserved in this world or anything. And so I tried to earn it. And I tried to prove myself in this world by creating my first business, my first iteration of this business when I lived in Thailand. And it was very successful. And I wanted to prove through my education. So instead of healing that, I did this, I'm going to study. And this is what I see, right? First happens is like victimhood and survival healing. It's victimhood, like things are happening and we're kind of still reacting to life and things are still going on and we haven't quite removed ourselves from that situation. And then we have the most delicious, extraordinary strength in the world. And you've probably had this moment where it's like, I'm fucking changing my life. And what you do is you grab the books, you get the certifications, you stop listening to music and only listen to podcasts. You become obsessed with healing. Obsessed. And I'm sure you know this. Like, you're a brilliant human being and you know so much about trauma, right? Like, we know dysregulated nervous system. We know, like, we have to eat well. We have to sleep well, you know, having orgasms and, like, what our health is and gut-brain connection and all this stuff. What attachment styles, what our gene keys is, what our human design is, what our astrology. Like, you're fascinated, just like I was, to learn about yourself. But there's this different energy of learning about yourself where when you're first moving through this, it's like, I want to fix myself. Hello, Miljo. I was like, if you want to come on and like say your actual name so I can know who you guys are, if your handle isn't your normal name, I would love that so I can get to know your actual names. And so it's this energy of like fixing self. And it gets exhausting. And so why I say this over-intellectualization is actually a trauma response is because what you're doing is you're trying to bypass the actual emotional processing. And I did this. I didn't want to be vulnerable. I didn't want to be seen as weak. I didn't want to feel any type of way. And so it's a coping mechanism. Over-intellectualizing anything. And what I mean by over-intellectualizing is studying, over-consuming, without actually becoming the embodiment. So your over-intellectualizing is actually a coping mechanism to help you manage your traumatic experiences rather than processing and expressing the emotions. Because what is trauma? Trauma isn't the event that happened to you. Trauma is what's stored in your body. And so I did the thing where I was like, if I just become perfect, it'll make up for the fact that I fucked up a bit, right? It'll make up for the fact that I did some crazy things. I self-abandoned in such a way and I let men do things to me that I hope my daughter never has to experience in her life. You know? And so I thought I could, if I studied, get smart, prove that I was a refined woman, that would go away. And it never did. And I just kept getting exhausted, and this is when like suicidal ideation came in because there was no number in my bank account that could make me feel worthy. There was no size in my pants that could make me feel worthy. There was nothing anyone could say, no matter how many people, any good guys that I dated after this, that I could actually feel it, and so I would self-sabotage. And so maybe you can't relate fully to this, but there's a part of your story that's kind of like this, where you still think you can think your way out of this. In trauma, yes, it comes from an event, but it's not the event. It's your body getting stuck in that event and not releasing it. So we see this. This is what I study. This is the somatics, where it's like our body will feel something and it'll trap. And so it'll freeze. And it'll freeze around that hurt because we didn't get the care that we needed. And it can be things like, you know, your mom saying something to you. It can be something like a breakup. It could be something like not being asked to the middle school dance or bullied in school. Like, it doesn't have to be only what, you know, I experienced. And I really want to emphasize that because a lot of us think our trauma isn't big enough or our trauma is too big, and it ranges between the two. But your trauma is yours. Whatever triggered and responses you see in your life, it's your responsibility to shift it if you want it, because all it's doing is protecting you, right? And we cannot just study, you know, inner child. We cannot study and be able to reiterate this stuff to our clients and not be able to embody it. And embodiment means like your front end matches your back end. And this was a big part for me because I could reiterate all this stuff and I could help. I was speaking on stages with hundreds of people, like talking about this stuff. I would run workshops with Joelle and I could riff on all this stuff, but on my back end, I was so scared of myself. I was so scared of going backwards. I was so mean to my body. I didn't let anyone in. I literally thought I was asexual. I had chronic health issues and my body was covered in rashes, but I hid all of it. Susan. I hid all of it. And I thought, if I could just study, if I can just learn what's wrong, if I can just learn, then I can fix it. But the problem is, it's not about learning something to fix it. It's about being and embodying. And that's why I wanted to create Arrival, because it's about landing in your body. And there's things that, you can't get on the internet. You can't. It's things you have to feel. And when you're scrolling through the gram and you're on the TikToks and you're doing the things, like, that's not healing. I love it. I love the fact that we are more aware than ever. I do fucking love that. Like, I can actually have conversations about things that I have been having conversations about for the last decade and a half of my life, and people get it. But there's a point of we become so identified in this diagnosis that now we're in a prison. And we're not willing to shift out of it. It's like, I'm just gonna, study about how I'm anxiously attached all the time. And I'm gonna blame that everyone else is avoidant. And I'm gonna blame all these kind of things. And it misses this radical responsibility of, how are you feeling in your body? How do you feel to come home here, to land here, to feel that sense that you've been trying to outrun that's probably in your throat or in your chest or your stomach area? Because that's where our felt sense is, where it kind of gets trapped. And yet we try so hard to just study anxiety and study all these biohacking things, but it's just like, we have to sit in these safe spaces to create safety in our body, to remove these feelings. And so my emphasis on this is because that's what we're doing in Arrival, because I really want that shift to happen with so many people, to not do what I did, but there's so many people that are doing what I did. Like, I know it's just a part of trauma, like victimhood to survivor, survival to good to thriving. I want to take you from good to thriving. You're already past this victimhood. I know that in you. You're already like out of the survivor. And now it's time to remove that survivor complex, because that's what it is. When we're over-intellectualizing, it's still being in that survivor complex of, if I just know enough, I won't go back to the old version of you. Like, if you just know enough, okay, let's just push it aside. Let's just like mask this. Let's all this kind of stuff. Like, that is still survivor complex, even though it's not in the same context of, old partying version of you, or eating disorder version of you, or slamming shots on the weekend and jumping on the bar version of you, or whatever the fuck it was. Like, it's not that context, but I can almost guarantee there's a trauma bond to the business that you're creating, this feast and famine cycle that's going on, that there's never good enough, that there's this obsession, that there's this self-abandonment, that you're also looking at everyone else on the internet trying to copy exactly what they're doing, and yet you're like, I'm not getting the same results. I don't get it. Like, what's my identity? And you're trying on all these masks to somehow feel okay. The way healing works is you come home to yourself. Like, it is never about, I don't teach in a way that's like, here's my 5-step formula to regulating your nervous system. That's why you don't see that shit on my page, and why I don't follow it or save it or do any of it, because that's not how it's done. My way of healing is, I invite you back home to yourself through my channel, through what I know, through my life experience, but it's always different. This is why my containers are through high-level touch points. Because yes, I can teach you things. I can teach you about codependency. I can teach you, hello, Melissa. I can teach you about boundaries. I can teach you about standards. I can teach you about sexuality. I have an entire product suite that does that. And if that's where you're at and you want to learn, go. But the thing that I love the most, and I know where transformation comes from, is when you move from coaching to mentorship. And that's why I have Iconic. And if you jump into Iconic, which is my 6-month high-level container, you get all of this included. But I wanted to give people this like behind the scenes of what this truly looks like kind of vibe. I'm currently in a challenge with my mentor for Money March. And I was like, yeah, like, I love this. This keeps me accountable. This is fantastic to be with legendary women. Like, I want to create something like that, but for hearts to come and crack open, for a safe place to land, for people to finally find that place where it's like, wow, I feel so fucking seen. Because a lot of times I was doing all of this on the back, not even a lot of time, I did all of this on the back end up until about a year and a half ago. I did all my healing because I was so ashamed of it. I felt so vulnerable. I felt so weak. And especially as a leader, I didn't want to lose my authority. So I didn't want people to say, I could only ask about like money and funnels and ads and numbers. Like that was safe because that wasn't about me. But the best thing in my life that ever happened is when I went through my breakup and I had a mastermind call that day. I didn't want to go. I didn't want anyone to see me. And I was like, fuck it. Opened my screen and just let them see me cry. And I realized something in that moment, that we all want a safe place to land. We want a safe corner, a soft place on the internet that our heart could be seen, that we could be felt. And the more comfortable we get in that, the better our relationships are. And it's not even romantic relationships. It's our friendships. It's with our children. It's with our clients. It's with our people, because it's no longer that you have to have this hard exterior of I can carry it all. Everyone knows you can. You survived every hard day up until today. The point now is to open yourself up again, to know that you're okay even when you do this. I just went on Facebook, and I just shared this on my story, where this is why I love Facebook Messenger. Hi, Anna. Hi, Andrea. I just shared this, and this is why I love Facebook Memories, not Messenger, Memories. And there was this video, and it was right after my breakup. And I like cry in the middle of it in like a tender way, but it was this like, I know if it's not this, it's something better. I know that the tools that I have, it was like this huge crack open moment for me of like, I can't study my way out of this. I don't want to. I've tried that already, and I use my sources and my tools from Sacred Singling to like see that version of me, to all the codes and all the things that I'm going to be teaching you inside of the arrival, to now. It's wild. Like I couldn't have picked it, but I held it in my heart. Like I even said on that live where I was like, I know I'm gonna have a love story for the ages. I know there is something and someone out there for me, and it's okay. And the thing that I love the most is I'm not afraid of falling on my heart again, because I know that this is just an extension of who I am. The love that I have for myself is the foundation. Anyone else is just an extension. To hear those words then reflected back, like I want to gift you that strength. I want to guide you to your strength in that moment, so that you're no longer feeling like, oh, my heart's been broken. And that's what we do. That's our different types of protectors and defenders in our childhood self, our little self, our small self, whatever. If we're doing the felt sense, we're doing internal family systems, whatever it is, kind of have the same vibe, but it's always protecting this feeling inside of us. And when we can get comfortable with that feeling inside of us, instead of trying to study it and over-intellectualize it and somehow, like the over-intellectualizing is just our protectors, because at one point we felt this pain, and so our protectors want to keep us safe. And so if we study it enough, it'll actually keep us distant enough from truly feeling that feeling our body, our system, our subconscious doesn't want us to feel. And I want to guide you home to understand that, like, that emotion that you had at that early age, or for me, a lot of the people I work with, it's like our teenager and early 20s self. Like, we get the inner child work, we've probably done that. Really, my juicy spot that I work with clients is like teenager forgiveness for what you did in your rebel years kind of time, and like the early 20s energy. Like, that's kind of where I sit. And we realize, yeah, that was too much for her. But now you're this version, however old you are right now, and it's not too much. You don't have to study your way. You have to become your way. You have to become the embodiment. And so for the month of April, that's what we're doing. Imagine like how different that would be for your relationships, for your health, for your business, for your day-to-day. To know that you got your freaking back, to know that you have some space that you can tap into when you feel like the world is spinning around you, because we're women and we kind of feel that way like once a day. And it's okay. Like, you don't have to have it all together, and you get to land in a space, and it's not this crying fest that I felt when I was at the 12 steps and like feeling all these kind of things where I was like, I'm just kind of over this like dramatic thing. It's like, I'm here and I'm feeling tender. I want to be witnessing this. Here's the solution. Let's go. It's like this safe place that's still in an authoritative power. How good does that feel? Like, to have that in your freaking pocket, to come in, and it's not like this like wine night with your girls, as fun as they are, but it's like to actually have a specialist in your pocket for $22, first off, when I charge $11,000, like normally, to have that for $22 just because I want you to have skin in the game, and I want you to show up, and I want you to feel what it feels like to invest in yourself. I remember the first time I invested in myself, and it was like I was so used to doing everything for free when it came to the relationship stuff. I was okay investing big money when it came to business, but investing in myself, in my healing, that was something I was like, let me just do YouTube, let me just do podcasts, let me do this on the back end. I didn't realize the quantum leaps when I started to heal and invest in myself in these ways, and how much better it was for my business, for my health, for the things that I thought I could bypass this kind of stuff. And so it felt weird doing it at first. I get it, because you're like, what's the ROI? What money am I going to make back? And it's like, everything you are, you get back, because you've been protecting yourself, feeling like you're not a fear of rejection, fear of abandonment. Like, you get yourself back. $22. Plus the time commitment of 30 days. Or however, I keep saying 30 days, but I'm like, I'm not actually even sure how many days are in April. The month of April, whatever that is. And so we're doing that. And it's honestly, it's just choosing yourself. And making that commitment and feeling that, like, you know, I feel like I can feel someone's heart right now. I don't know whose it is, but I can feel it, where it's like, the fear of being seen is one, you know, wanting to stay in the authority, and the time, where it's like this, like, fear of like, this isn't something that like I know how to make time for. And it's one of those things where it's like, if you can give yourself 15 minutes a day to check in with yourself and heal, to pay attention, how much time are you spending throughout your day running from that? That's where, like, my head, like, that's what I'm feeling right now for someone. It's like, we spend it, it's like, I don't have time for that. That's not the priority right now. I'll do that when I hit this number. I'll do that when my kid's this age. I'll do this when my husband's doing this. I'll do this when I'm back in town. I'll do all this kind of stuff. And it's like, if you pause for a second and realize how much of your day is outrunning the old versions of yourself, and if you've spent 15 minutes to whatever, it's not even going to be every day. It's a commitment to come in, to collaborate, to tap in, to check in, to fill your cup, to choose you. And we think, oh, I just have to study or like do something else. It's so interesting to me just to witness that way. I don't know who's that for, but that's like, that hit me straight in the freaking heart when I felt that. So I'm excited. I really do want to bring awareness to this topic, because I see it too much, and it's not something we see a lot, where it's like, oh yeah, your overstudying is actually a coping mechanism. And it's not that it's wrong. I love the fact that now I can riff with everyone about internal family systems and felt senses and trauma and nervous system work and polyvagal theory. Like, I fucking love this shit. You guys are giving me places to nerd the fuck out, and like, I'm obsessed. But I see it as this, you guys can riff on a lot of stuff and you're not moving. You're not shifting these things, and this is why we become so aware, and then we become so depressed because nothing's happening and we're still being triggered. And this is why we're being triggered, because we're not actually healing the trauma just by talking. Talking doesn't heal shit. Affirmations doesn't heal shit. Like, sticky notes and things, like, doesn't heal shit. Like, it doesn't. And I get it. A lot of us don't want to do this work, because when we look at embodiment mentors, it's like, that's too woo-woo for me. I get it. I still feel that way sometimes. Like, I'm just cracking the egg on that one. That's why I wanted to create this space. It's like that bridge. It's a bridge. You get the intellectual, because you're smart and you're wise and you want the science behind it, so that you can actually get behind doing it. And that's what we're going to do. It's your guide home in a way that makes sense for the modern woman. And really acknowledging that, you know, the more we study, it's really just preventing you from feeling these emotions. And I want you to feel safe in your emotions, to be fully expressed, to be that wild woman, to just like know that you have this delicious power inside of you, and to not choose it, or to release it in healthy ways, and to understand these parts of yourself in such a way that like you become your favorite person on the freaking planet. There's nothing to fix. Absolutely nothing to fix. You're extraordinary as you are. The journey is now recognizing that and coming home to yourself and feeling empowered and feeling beautiful and feeling like you're your best asset. Like, you don't need anything. Everything else is just an amplifier. It's just a value add. But you are the core of the value, and I want you to recognize that. So I'm going to walk with you in your pocket for the next month of April for only $22 freaking dollars. I I have not ever done this because, like I said, my price, like, that's not my price range, but I wanted to do something that was community building, to create a safe corner on the internet, especially as we're making a lot of transits in our relationships right now, because it's spring and statistically that's when a lot of relationships have turmoil. Cuffing season is now over, and I wanted to create something, but I want you to have skin in the game. I want you to feel what it feels like to invest in yourself at any level, and to start wherever that is, for things like this, to start getting used to the fact that your growth is your best ROI, and it doesn't have to do with business. So if that is you and you are ready to come join, we're kicking off inside of Telegram. All you're going to do is you're going to go to my profile. There's a link at the top, and you're going to click that, and you're going to see it. It's the first link on the thing, and it says arrival, and you'll enter information. You'll get an email just welcoming you in. I will send you the link, or my team will send you the link, most likely, because I'm going to the beach this weekend because I love to launch when I'm on holiday. So they'll send you a link with the Telegram group. We'll kick off in April 1st, and for the entire month you'll be getting riffs from me. You'll get to connect with like-hearted legendary women. You'll have accountability, you'll have practices, you'll have tools, you'll have mindset. Like, it's gonna be the behind the scenes of what I do. Like, every single thing that I do that have gotten me through every dark night of my soul, every highlight like thing, to move from good to thriving to great to having the love of my life, like to being the help, like I'm going to walk you through all of that. And so we can keep accountable for you choosing yourself first. And if you don't know what Telegram is, it's an audio messaging app, which is fucking amazing, because when you're out walking, you can just send a voice note, you can refer back to them. And if you are overwhelmed by groups and you're like, that's a lot, like I get you, ADHD girl right here, like I feel you on those things. And this is why I love Telegram, because unlike Voxer, where you have to scroll through, Telegram, you can go at the top and just, there's pinned messages, and you can just listen to the things that I share and I pin. So it's not overwhelming if you get overwhelmed by groups. But if you are looking for that group aspect, you can go in, you can network, you can meet like-hearted women, you can meet your best friends on the internet. I actually just did an interview yesterday with one of my best friends on the internet. Like, I've met my best friends that way and realized I'm not alone in these things. So if that's where you're at, and like your growing edge is, you know, your relational work and your self-awareness and your femininity, and like really healing your stuff and becoming the embodiment of your work, I invite you to join us. And it's only $22. So I love you. April's gonna be fucking amazing. March is already amazing, like different kind of energy, but April's like that fresh. We're officially in spring, that fresh fucking energy. We're getting ready for summer. We're coming home to self. It's gonna be sacred. It's gonna be magnificent. So I love you. Come hang out. Like I said, we kick off April 1st. Yeah, I love you. Bye.